Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome from 161 to 180 AD and considered to be the last of the 5 good emperors. As emperor, he would sit down and journal amongst the chaos of the war in Germania, during the cruel games that took place in the Colosseum and in everyday life. In the past, most people who obtained great status, such as the Emperor of Rome, have neglected the desire to constantly improve and contemplate upon oneself. Most didn't view this as a responsibility, which resulted in the neglect of themselves and the very people they served. These reflections made him one of the most influential Stoic philosophers. Journaling was a priority for him. He understood that these moments of contemplation are crucial. His journal work, Meditations, was never intended to be publicized for an audience, yet continues to inspire modern society to this day. Why is that? How can someone continuously inspire the masses thousands of years later without even intending to do so? How has Marcus Aurelius become so influential in today's society? Why do his spiritual and ethical reflections remain one of the most powerful and profound insights to living? Did he have information we don't? Let's dive into the aspects of journaling like a Stoic, and how it can bring profound insights to your life that you should implement today. This is a guided Stoic journal that you're encouraged to download. For free, no strings attached. Simply download this journal from the video's description. I am not going to collect your email either, as this was made to invest in the growth of society and assist the evolution of my audience's Stoic path. Through journaling, Marcus Aurelius avoided the corruption of power and many of the negative impacts of stress. His favorite philosopher, Epictetus, observed that people work on their bodies but not on their soul. This is why Epictetus recommended that every day we should keep our philosophical exercises at hand, that we should write them, read them aloud, talk to ourselves and to others about them. This resonated with Marcus and brought him purpose, which fostered greatness. To him, journaling was what scholars have come to call spiritual combat. He was writing as a way to build his soul, a core, an inner fortress, something that fate, chaos, hysterics, vices, outside influences and external forces could never penetrate or break down. If you want to live a good life, you have to build your spirit. You must establish an inner empire before you even have a chance of constructing a physical one, and journaling is one of the most time-tested and research-backed ways to do so. Here are 7 strategies you must incorporate in order to journal like Marcus Aurelius. Let's begin.
Number 1. Morning Contemplations.
Stoic journaling means preparing in the morning. Despite Marcus's admitted struggles to get out of his warm, comfortable bed in the morning, he seemed to have done most of his journaling first thing in the morning. As he wrote,
"When you wake up, tell yourself that the people you deal with today will be living ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, and jealous lives. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil."
We can imagine Marcus taking his journal and in it thinking about all the things he was likely to face in the day, and not only wanting to be ready for them, but how he intended on responding to them.
A healthy mind should be prepared for anything.
Marcus says, as we should be like a fighter willing to strike and ready for any counterattack. Like Marcus, you should prepare, plan, and meditate on how you aim to act each day. You should do this in your journal, envisioning everything that may come and preparing your best response to them. In your journal, ask yourself questions like,
what do I intend on accomplishing today? What does my perfect day look like? If something goes wrong, what is my plan? Is there anything I need to get off my chest?
Number 2.
Keep it to yourself.
Marcus Aurelius spent precious hours isolated in his tent writing by the lamplight. Why? It's because he understood that even on the days that he was strained under the burdens of his wartime duties, neglecting the act of journaling would be to neglect himself. This wasn't for our benefit, as he wasn't writing for an audience. He was writing for himself. And in fact, what is now published as Meditations was originally titled To Himself. These pages weren't intended for anyone but himself. However, a proactive measure in enlightenment, most people drop the journal out of habit or never begin out of fear or intimidation. They think they're a terrible writer, that they don't have good ideas or thoughts to write about, that no one will want to read anything they write. Well, that's the great thing about journaling. No one has to read it, not even you. Some call Meditations a self-help book, and in the most literal sense, that's what journaling is. It's self-help, help for you. Ask yourself questions like,
Is there anything holding me back from achieving my goals? What are my greatest fears? What are areas of my life that I could improve on? How do I keep myself accountable in situations?
Number 3.
Repeat the most important things.
This is how habits are formed and perspectives are engraved. It's hard to miss the repetitions in Marcus Aurelius's writing. In fact, it's a common criticism that his work is too repetitive, but this misses the point. It's supposed to be repetitive. He was constantly reminding himself of the most important things like,
Remember your mortality. Don't live as if you had endless years ahead of you, since death overshadows you. While you're alive and able, be good as you could leave life right now. Let this determine what you do and say and think.
He reminds us that it is our duty to submit to the common good by saying,
Undertake nothing for any reason but the common good. Both thought and action result in the common good. This is what you were born to do. Have I personally done something for the common good? If the answer is yes, then I share in the benefits.
Philosophy isn't our instructor, but it's a method of understanding unique perspectives and ultimately moving forward. These perspectives are individual from one another, but crucial to understand for ourselves. As Marcus says,
Remember, you can get through this. You can. Ask yourself, why can't I endure this? And you'll be embarrassed by the answer. Are you making excuses? Remember, the impediment to action advances action, as what stands in the way becomes the way.
the act of sitting down and journaling, writing and rewriting about ideas from the earlier Stoics was a meditative experience for Marcus. It was almost like prayer, reframing the wisdom over and over and over again until it became muscle memory. And then that muscle memory could be translated into his work and everyday life. In your journal, ask yourself the following questions.
What will I do today for the common good? What excuses do I make? How do these excuses hold me back from contributing to the common good?
Number 4.
We are what we create.
We are all self-made. Not just the millionaire who built his company, but the complainer, the naysayer, and everyone who walks this earth. We are creations of our own thoughts and actions and must hold ourselves accountable. Marcus reminds us that we are what we repeatedly do by saying,
The things you think about determine the quality of your mind as your soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts.
This means your life will take on the color of what you write about in your journal. Remember, I've provided a free one for you below. Take it out on these pages. Like us, Marcus had many things to be stressed and angry about. As emperor, things rarely follow his plans exactly. They never do. Not even for us. He made mistakes. People failed him. There were plagues and wars, natural catastrophes, financial crises, family difficulties. These are the same hardships our society faces today. He constantly dealt with one problem after another, yet never lost his temper when dealing with stress and overwhelm. We could learn from and implement how he presented himself to adversities in our own lives. Journaling, when stressed, results in improvements in both physical and psychological health. As Marcus wrote in his journal, as if the world would even notice.
Why should we feel anger at the world? When frustrated with someone's behavior, we should turn around and ask, when have you acted like this?
We all carry destructive thoughts, but we must remember that paper is far more patient than people. We should put our angry thoughts down on the page and leave them there, rather than projecting them onto others, as this misplaced anger is a sign of insecurity and weakness, not strength. Ask yourself,
what is the root of my thoughts, actions, and beliefs? Do I allow my emotions to dictate my future? How can I use my emotions to drive greatness?
Number 5.
Collect your favorite quotes.
Copy down your favorite quotes. This makes us search for what truly resonates with us and reminds us to implement it into our own lives. As Marcus said,
we should hunt out the helpful pieces of teachings and the spirited and noble-minded sayings. These are capable of immediate practical application.
We must learn from these chosen passages as these words translate towards our work. Page after page, we see quotes from interesting things Marcus Aurelius read, overheard, and observed. He quotes comedies and tragedies, teachings of Epictetus and other fellow philosophers such as Plato, Socrates, Heraclitus, Democritus, and Menander, to name a few. Marcus talked about going straight to the seat of intelligence. He said that's where he liked to go when he needed encouragement, and that was what his journal was made to record and remember. Marcus shows us that he studied successful people, and we should too. He strived for mentorship even when he was the emperor. This shows us that he never operated off ego, which is a big part of why he was great. Reflect between you and your mentor. Ask yourself questions like,
what traits of this person can I embrace? Do they have a positive influence? If so, how can I incorporate these characteristics into my own life? Why is their mindset powerful? And how can I evolve my own mindset to match?
Number 6.
Ask the hard questions.
On nearly every page, we see Marcus questioning himself, the actions he took, the choices he made, and the path he was on. Contemplations are necessary for developing clarity and an understanding of oneself. This ultimately leads to the growth of any individual, so long as we properly implement what we have learned into our lives. Marcus asked himself the following questions, and you should too.
Why am I here? How should I live my life? How do I ensure that what I do is right? How can I prepare and protect myself against the stresses and pressures of daily life? How should I deal with pain and misfortune? How can I live with the knowledge that someday I will die? Am I afraid of death because I won't be able to do whatever I'm doing right now anymore? What good is it to be remembered after you're dead if it doesn't harm my character? How can it harm me? When have I messed up like this person? Why can't I endure this or that?
Number 7.
Distinguishing needs and wants.
Marcus reminds us that most of what we do isn't essential, as he says.
If you can eliminate it, you'll have more time and more tranquility. If you can eliminate it, it was never a necessity in the first place.
You're encouraged to ask yourself every moment, is this necessary? Most of what we do is not essential. Most of it is instinctual, or it was foisted on us by someone else. Most of it actually isn't working for us. Yet holding on to these things is easier, as we as human beings are wired to seek comfort. Often we would be better and happier if we changed. This change begins by asking ourselves the following tough questions in our journal every single day, like, what actions, thoughts, and beliefs are no longer serving a purpose for me? How much time is wasted on these factors? Can I eliminate them? If so, what does this process look like? The same applies for people. Ask yourself, is there anyone in my life that no longer serves my well-being? Number 8.
Nightly review.
The best way to improve is to review each evening. Did you implement what you said you would? The Stoics encouraged us to examine our day and our actions completely. As Seneca said,
I'll be aware of this habit that's now mine. I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing from myself as nothing passes by.
2,000 years after Marcus made it a practice, a study conducted by the Harvard Business Review found that participants who journaled at the end of each day had a 25% increase in performance when compared with the control group who did not journal. This research concludes that the act of reflection and contemplation is a powerful mechanism behind learning, growth, and complete control over oneself. Marcus says,
we do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience.
This is the path that greatness clearly requires: self-awareness, self-reflection, and application. Journaling is uniquely suited to do that. Marcus knew this, and he proved it. So what are you waiting for? Start journaling. And who knows, maybe in writing exclusively to and for yourself, you'll accidentally produce something that survives, teaches, and helps people for centuries to come. These are important questions to ask yourself.
Did I follow my plans for the day? Did I hold myself accountable? Was I prepared enough? What could I have done better? What did I learn today that will help me tomorrow? What can I do to set myself up for success?
Only subscribe if you believe this video, along with the free journal I provided, presents valuable information. I hope to assist you along your Stoic path.
How long are you going to wait before you demand the best from yourself?